Well, good morning, YouTube. Hi guys, welcome to the Halstead Homestead channel. Today we're going to be putting in a Ghost Controls gate opener. All right, is this better? I actually had to go clean the lenses on the phone because yesterday I spilled my coffee on my phone, made a heck of a mess, and I guess I didn't get it cleaned up very well. So I shot that first clip, I realized, wow, that looks terrible. So brief history for those of you that haven't been around a long time. We built this gate fence area out here on the driveway probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. I don't even remember exactly, but it has been a while. And the whole intention was to be able to put a gate opener on here to stop people from just willy-nilly driving down our driveway. As you see, we definitely live in a very rural area. We're in a neighborhood, so to speak, but like you can't even see one of my neighbor's houses from here. We've got about 8 acres here, about 3.5 of which we've had for a while. And we just bought a 4.2 acre lot right over here that you can barely see just recently within the last couple of months, and we're adding on to it. But even though we're out in the woods pretty far, we still get that occasional person that drives down our driveway thinking that maybe our driveway is an exit out of here, and it's not. It just dead ends at our front door. So we're trying to minimize that. You know, we welcome visitors. We just don't like strange people driving down our driveway. So anyway, a couple years ago, we built the fence, we installed the actual gate, and we ran the wire to the creek. And then in the video last week you saw, we had to kind of rebuild the bridge, get the wire across the creek, and get the power out here. Now, this gate operates on a battery. However, it uses power just to recharge the battery. And I did that because you see all the tree cover we have here. During the summer, this is all filled with foliage, and they really don't get very good sun. I was worried about a solar charger not performing properly. So we went ahead and ran power so that we could charge it. We also wanted power out here so we could run Christmas lights and whatnot on the gate that time of the season. Now, first off out here, I noticed that this gate seems to be sagging a little bit more than it was when we first installed it. And I'm actually looking at this hinge here, and I think we can fix some of it here. It seems like the gate's pulling that way. I think if I loosen this up, jack the gate back, and then clamp it, it'll seat better in here like it is down at the bottom. I don't know if that's going to work, but we're going to give it a try. But before I get to that, what we're using today is Ghost Controls. I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube on this, and everyone says it's a fairly decent unit, but we're going to give it a try. Now, this is going to come with some remote controls to be able to open the gate, so on and so forth. It also comes with a driveway sensor so that when you're leaving the property, it will pick up the iron in your car. So basically, it's a magnet, and when your car gets close to it, it triggers the magnet, and then it will open the gate when you leave. Now, that's got to be buried under the ground, and we've actually already done that. We buried that when we ran the first leg of wire down. It's somewhere right over here. All right, Zach just came home. He's going to help me with the project today. He brought me cherry Danish. He's always so thoughtful. All right, so coming down here, I started to pull it up, but here is the cord for that driveway sensor right here. So it's all there. We'll probably end up having to cut it shorter. I left a little extra slack here to make sure we had enough. Save that for the blooper reel. All right, guys, so I got everything pretty much unboxed, and we'll really quickly just go over what's all in the kit, and then we're gonna make sure that we have everything we're supposed to have before we get started. So obviously instructions, then we have a control box, which I believe this opens somehow, out, slides up, so on and so forth. We have the actuator itself, some pins and fasteners and hardware, bracketry to mount it to the gates and the post. And then we have the battery charger as well as the remote controls. Now, if I'm not mistaken, we also ordered a keypad, like a touchpad to put out as well. And I don't see that here. So maybe that's in another box over in the shop. I'm not sure. But we can always figure that part out later on. Oh, look, they even supplied me with a teeny tiny little screwdriver. And they even supplied a few signs to warn you that it's a power gate. And I doubt we're going to hang these up. I know that it might be politically correct to hang them up. But I feel like if you stand in the way of a gate that's moving at you, you deserve to get hit by it. There's just way too many warning labels on common sense crap nowadays. I'm not going to bother with it. All right, according to the quick start guide, the first thing it wants us to do is pre-assemble the bracket that amounts to the post. And we're going to put that about the center of the gate. They say not to tighten it up, so we're just going to kind of loosely put it together and then go to the next step. Okay, so pre-assembling the bracket was relatively simple, and then we came over to the post to mock up where we wanted to put it and realized that our original design interferes with the way this is going to go, so we're going to have to make some modifications. So the instructions say you want it to as close to the center of the gate as possible. Now this is our center bar, and of course the other end of the actuator has the clip to the bar, so ideally this bracket should go right about here. Now you see the 4 bolt holes in there where this bracket will bolt to the post. They come with long through bolts that have to go all the way through to the other side. Well, this piece of fence is in the way, and we just realized our 2x4 that we used there to screw that fence to was also in the way because the bolts aren't long enough to go through all of it. So it looks like we're actually going to have to temporarily disassemble our gate, our fence here, put these bolts in, and then reassemble our fence. All right, so I made my marks on where that bracket is going to go. And then I'm going to use the square, and we're going to wrap the post. So we got lines over here as well. And I think what we decided we're going to do is instead of removing this 2x4 that we used just to kind of bridge these on, because the bottom one, the power box is attached to, we'd have to take this whole assembly down. So we just took out the middle one, and then we're just going to countersink a bigger bore here so that the nut and the washer will sink into this and go up against the 6x6. I think that's our simplest, easiest way. So we'll just have to drill our hole through from both sides and then make this side bigger to fit everything else in. All right, there we go from the front side. Now the thing is, I hope I got them straight enough because this bit isn't long enough to go through the entire 6x6. So now I'm going to drill back through from the other side and hope that we don't screw it up. Well, I don't know if I got those perfectly straight, but I can see daylight through them, so they're pretty close, and I can definitely feel there was way less resistance drilling than there was coming through from the other side. All right, not overly pretty, but we got that bored out big enough through the 2x4 so that our washers will sit against the 2x6. Now we're going to put this bracket on before we drill our other 2 holes because I'm going to use this as a guide. All right, so one of the holes was just slightly off center. When this one comes through, it's a little bit too close to this wall. So we backed it in. We're going to make this a little bit bigger, make it all work.
Really close, right?
Yeah. Hey, turn your saw upside down so it shoots the sparks downwards, not straight up to your face.
Well, I can't because...
Oh, shit, okay. Never mind, do it the dangerous
How about
way.
I just don't be above it? It's got like a weird switch.
It is. I hate the switch on it. All right, so Zach cut the length of the bolts off that stuck through because this board has the nestle in that spot. So we needed to give it clearance for that to go back on and not be in the way. But now the bracket is on. We move to the next step, which is to hook the actuator to that point right there. All right, and as Zach is screwing that board back on, I have hung the ghost control actuator on the bracket. Now on to the next step. I guess we've got to mount a bracket here, but I don't know where yet, and there's a procedure to tell you how far out to go.
I got it. You want to film it? look relatively straight to you.
Not too bad. All right, and control box is on, even though that wasn't actually in the quick setup directions, but the next step was to wire the wire up to the box so that we can use the actuator to set where it needs to be. So obviously the box made sense to mount it. So now we're gonna go ahead and make that connection. All right, guys, and as I stated before, this system must have a battery to operate, and I don't have a battery ready yet. We've got one up in the shop that I think will work, but it was kind of low in charge. We've got it on charge. So what we've done now, we've backed the truck up next to where the post is, and we're just going to temporarily use the truck battery to power the system for setup. All right, so just a quick temporary hookup, running it over to the control box, and Zach is making the connections there so we can go to the next step. All right, so we programmed one of the remotes and it was a little bit challenging to understand the directions properly. It wasn't hard. We're just challenged and it made it hard for us to understand the directions properly, but we finally got it and we can use the remote and it goes in, it goes out. So now we're mounting the other end of the controller to the gate and then we should be able to test and see if it actually opens and closes the gate properly. All right, now that bracket is bolted on. In theory, it should work, but let's read the directions and make sure we're supposed to test it at this point. All right, so we believe that we've got all of our preliminary adjustments made and we should be able to operate the gate. We tried once and we got it to go, but there was an interference problem down here, so we made another adjustment. We've also got to dig our ground out just a tiny bit right here. The gate is dragging. I guess the gate's sagging a little bit. I made the adjustment there that I talked about earlier in the video and it didn't help any. So I want to get all the operation right, and then we'll make some adjustments if need be. So we had a little mound of clay and dirt that was right there, and it was challenging to get it out of there. Because today's high is only about 30 degrees, and it's been below freezing for well over 48 hours. That's just a bunch of frozen gravel and clay. So had to use a pry bar, chip some of it out. Hopefully there will be less friction on the gate. All right, guys, a little winded, but now that we've got that dug out, let's see how it works on the first try. Well, guys, that's pretty much what we wanted it to do. So now I got to make all these settings final so that the gate knows where we want it to start, where we want it to stop. Okay, so the instructions that we have here didn't show how to wire in that driveway sensor. And like I said, we installed that a long time ago, and I think I've just lost the instructions for it. Maybe they're lying around someplace. But I was lucky enough to find a video on YouTube, of all places, to see how to wire it. So we wired it up, and as soon as we made the connections, we forgot to turn the unit off. The gate opened all by itself. So then we closed it, and now Zach is going to get his truck to bring it down the driveway to see if it works, because my truck is still powering the whole system. All right, we're going to call that a fail. All right, so Zach's moving a little bit further to the right from his perspective to see if maybe it'd be a little closer to the sensor. Yeah, and nothing's happening. All right, let's go to troubleshooting. All right, well, that's what I like to see. The first time, I guess, Zach had put the power wire in and he didn't get it connected very well. When I went over there, I touched it and it had just fallen out. So it looked like it worked that time. Now, this gate has an auto close function. So now that the gate is open, it should only stay open for 30 seconds and then close automatically. So any moment now, it should decide to close on its own. There it goes. So now it's going to close on its own. And we'll have Zach pull up one more time just to make sure that it all works right. I'm setting the remote down so that I'm not accidentally pressing any buttons. You see how it gently closes? We got the settings set just right where it's not slamming against that pole. All right, so he's even going pretty far off to the left this time. And there it goes. It picked it up. Perfect. Just perfect. All right, well, at this point, it looks like everything is working fine. So we need to get our actual battery out here if it's done charging and get all that final setup done so I can disconnect my truck and fish that wire through. And I think we just might be finished with this project. All right, so at the beginning of this, I talked about a battery that I had on charge, and it turns out that battery was no good. I went in there to check it a little while ago, and the battery said bad battery. So we're going Harley Davidson style. So I had a 30 lbs out of a Harley laying around that actually had some halfway decent voltage to it. It wasn't fully charged, but mostly charged. So for the moment, that's what's going in. All the wiring is done. All we have to do is put the control box cover back on. Now, this wiring is a mess right here. And because this isn't the permanent battery, I'm going to sort this again another time when I get an actual battery. And I'm probably going to build a box to put out here to keep the battery in, maybe even insulate that box so it doesn't freeze. But for now, I'm going to turn the system on, and hopefully everything works as it should. I don't think that battery's got enough oomph. Like I said, this battery wasn't fully charged, so I think we're going to go ahead and leave it plugged in to the charger for right now, and we'll come back and check on it later on. If not, I'll just have to go out and get another battery for it. But as you guys can see, it's getting... Yeah, we're just going to have to turn the system off because it's trying to close the gate automatically with the timer set, and the battery doesn't have enough oomph to do it. So, like I said, it's getting dark. Sun's setting, so I think we're freezing. It's really cold out here right now. So we're gonna let it sit overnight. Hopefully that will charge that battery all the way up, and we'll give it another test tomorrow. Hi guys, like I said, it's getting dark and it's getting cold, so at least us burning our trash kind of keep us warm for a little bit. Plus, it is Sunday night, and those of you that have been around a while know that on Sunday nights when we're home, we always try to do family dinner together. So Katie's been in there making some short ribs and some other stuff. I don't even know what, while Zach and I have been out here doing this. And it's about time to get a grub on. Now, after 48 hours on charge, that Harley Davidson battery didn't cut it. So I found this battery in the shop, got it to charge, but the small battery terminal ends wouldn't fit these battery terminals. So I had to come up with a solution. The local parts store did not have the adapter I needed to go on here to make the wire terminals fit. So I decided to drill it and then tap it. I don't know if you've ever tried to tap a lead terminal on a battery. It was not easy. Boy, does it like to gal up and get really, really gummy. Not the easiest thing in the world, but eventually I got it. And as you can see here, the battery's terminals work. And then the operation of the gate is absolutely perfect. Now, I didn't want to just leave the battery and everything sitting out in the weather, so I decided that I was going to build an enclosure for it. And luckily, I went looking around on my scrap metal pile and I found this board that I'm not really sure what it was for or where it came from, but somebody had built this, so I cut it in half and modified it, reconfigured it, and it made the sidewalls. And then shortly after, I found another piece identical to it, and I modified it to make a front door basically on it. And then once it was all screwed in and assembled, it gave me a good secure box for everything to go in. And then I just found an old piece of tin laying around, cut it down to size, and made a roof for it to keep everything out of the weather, keep leaves from collecting. Right, all in all, I'm very happy with the way the project came out. Now, eventually, I think I'll maybe add some hinges to those front covers or side covers, or even the roof on that, just to make it a little bit easier to access. But at the time, I was really trying to make use of materials I had laying around the house and not put any additional money into the project per se, just to be kind of thrifty about it. It was kind of fun. Now, I believe this gate is going to provide us with a little extra peace of mind, a little extra security. But on the security note, guys, I want to keep in mind that that actuator, the way it comes, is only held on to the bracket on the post and the bracket on the fence itself, or the gate itself, I should say, with like hitch pins. So anybody from outside the gate can reach in there, pull those pins, and open the gate manually. They don't have to undo one of them, and then the thing will just swing out of the way. So, this isn't security. It's reasonable peace of mind. The average person isn't going to go do that, but you're not going to stop somebody from getting in if they really want to get in. Now, you could probably drill those pins a little bit bigger and actually put a nut and bolt assembly in there to really secure it if you're concerned with something like that. But we may do that just to keep, the nosier people out, keep honest people honest. But with this done, we hope it works pretty good. So far, we've had it up and running for 3 or 4 days now, and it has worked very, very well. So stay tuned for a long-term review later on down the road, maybe a month, 6 months, possibly even a year from now. We just might do a review and see how well it lasts. Also, if you guys are interested in something like this, we've had this Amazon store thing going on for a long time, but we never really buy stuff off of Amazon and put in there. We just don't think about it. But this is something that we did buy off of Amazon, and I will put some links in there for it. And I think Michaela is going to add this to the Amazon store. So if you guys need something like this, if you buy it through those links, it does benefit the channel. It doesn't cost you any more money, but we do get like a small cut off of it. So if you want a ghost control system, please use our links or our store to get it. Would be greatly appreciated. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Till the next time we see you, keep those engines running.